there. Let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where it's a desperate situation in Nigeria regarding insecurity and economic hardship, and the federal government is desperate for measures to get the country out of the woods. Well, upon his return from France on Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu directed the Special Presidential Committee on Emergency Food Intervention to immediately release food items from reserves. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said food items will be released from the national food reserves to crash prices in the market. While assuring Nigerians that there is no food shortage in the country, the federal government alleged that saboteurs are capitalizing on the depreciation of the naira to escalate the cost of food items. Babajide, we discussed this matter yesterday about the protest, the rising cost of living from the average Nigerian due to the rising food prices. But with the measures that the federal government seems to adopt, do you think this is enough to cushion the effect already faced by Nigerians with the level of insecurity and, of course, food security?
No, if the grains are released, it happens everywhere. When you are faced with this kind of situation, you go to the strategic grains reserve, you release grains, which will mitigate the pains that people are going through. My concern is whether this effort on the part of government will be properly implemented to the point that unscrupulous elements do not hijack it. What we saw in December is a matter of crying shame. The president released money to federal lawmakers to buy palliative grains and distribute to their constituents. Only very few of them did that. Some were not prepared to distribute grains to their constituents until they were called out. I know 2 federal lawmakers in Osun State. It was after they were called out that they began to distribute those grains. A federal lawmaker from Edo State came out after buying 9 trailer loads of rice for his constituents and saying that it was from the money that the president released. Some of his colleagues were abusing him that is because he wanted to contest. What did some of them do? They converted the palliative, money meant for palliative grains to buy sewing machine, to buy other things, all kinds of things, hair dryers and all that. But this one was meant to buy grains. The Nigerian politician must easily be the most wicked strain of politician on the face of the earth. What are we talking about? Today, as we speak, there are governors who have not distributed grains, and they took 2 billion each from the president. We have to find a way to get these people to do this for the poorest of the poor in our community. You can blame the president, oh, he's the one who removed subsidy, he's the one who did this, he's the one who did that. But you can't accuse him of not trying to mitigate the pains. The steps that he has taken are there for all to see. But if people chose not to distribute those grains, what do we then do? How do we get governors to behave responsibly?
That's the question.
How does the president get them to act responsibly? It's a matter that bothers me. Someone was telling me that there's a governor who has not shared a single grain of rice. So this is the thing. If you release grains from the strategic grains reserve, because the Federal Ministry of Agri has those reserves in different parts of the country. If you release those grains, are they going to get to the people who need them the most?
That is it. That's the question.
Because the president trusted these people. But in the season that we found ourselves, a lot of people are only interested in lining their pockets. It's such a shame. In the corridors of power, a good number of people, all they're after is simply to steal. This is our chance. Oh, this is our day in the sun. What they're after is just to line their pockets. And they steal so much, you think that they have 2 lifetimes. This is the thing.
That's the truth.
Abi Emeka?
It's true.
You said, okay, go and give grains to people. They are giving it to party men and women alone. How can people be this irresponsible? And then, if people start fighting now, they are killing one another, they won't know that the politicians behind this, they are in their homes. They have security, some of them can hire like 40 soldiers to guide their house. So this is the thing. Our people are going through a lot at this time. This is a perilous time for our people. But you can help. You can show mercy. You have public funds. You've been given public funds to mitigate this pain. Buy grains for people. It's a temporary relief. But if we do it, why don't you just do it?
You know, this matter can be really, really pathetic.
I mean, it's painful. I don't know how to describe what's going on.
Yeah, it's painful, to say the least. And if we're to talk about the steps, BKO is highlighting that they should be held accountable. How do we get these governors to behave responsibly? Then the question is, what steps now do you think the government can take to ensure transparency, accountability in the distribution of these food reserves to those that really need this?
You see, the meeting that held yesterday, the National Security Advisor was there. I think it's to adopt the method of the Borno State Governor, Zulu, direct distribution to the people. Because, you know, one of his aides told me at the time that there was a time they were giving officials, he was giving officials, go and share. But the feedback he was getting was that the officials were sharing some of these things to themselves. So, because he set security agencies to just, you know, to monitor these people, and he was disappointed. So, you see, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Malam Nur Ribadu, should tell the president the truth. You see, that statement by APC was really disappointing. That is the opposition. You know, you see, there is a government in power. When you keep looking for victims, for scapegoats, you know, you keep looking for third parties, you make the government look as if it is hopeless and helpless. No, it is not. There is no opposition or anything here. The fact is there is hunger. Then again, you say there is food in Nigeria. Yes, there is food in Nigeria, but there is inflation. And that's why it's called inflation. Yeah. There is food, but the food is being sold at prices that people cannot afford. If you want a trailer load of rice now, just go to the market, you get. But at what cost? 65,000, 70,000. Do you know? I traveled to a state in the south in November, and for the first time in my life, I saw palm oil being sold in tiny, I'd never seen that since I was born. I said, this palm oil in this tiny.
What will you do?
What can you even feel a spoon? So things have got bad. Yes, we can say there is global food inflation according to the World Bank. There's global food inflation everywhere. There is, but all these countries, a lot of countries are taking steps to mitigate these things. Now we are heading into another planting season. People are already planting rice. By the time it starts raining now, people will start planting other things like yam. People who have irrigation systems are already planting vegetables, corn, and maize, and all those things. But what we are saying is that the effort by this individual is still at subsistence level. So it isn't strong enough to take care of the population of Nigeria, over 200 million Nigerians. So government at different levels must step in massively, provide more tractors, and make sure that grains are available, seeds are available for people to plant. Then the other thing is insecurity. In November, December, a friend of mine was talking about how to organize trucks to move maize from Abuja to some places. And drivers were saying, the roads are bad, number one. I think it was October. The roads are bad, number one. And then number two, insecurity. That they could get kidnapped on the way, and then the kidnappers will go and sell the grains. So who will bear the cost? Who will ensure, who will bear the cost? Nobody wants to put his or her head into that kind of transaction. So it's a problem. If you go to major food production centers around the country, particularly in the north, you will see onions, tomatoes, pepper on sale in large quantities. But who will dare to go on the roads to bring the foodstuff to the south, knowing that on the way they may be kidnapped, the foodstuff diverted, and then they may even be held for ransom. So it is such a pathetic situation that needs to be addressed. And if it's not addressed now, going into the rainy season, it's going to be worse. So these are the things that need to be dealt with. Like I keep saying, more Nigerians need to be moved into agriculture. I also say that in many of these places where food is produced in large quantities, particularly in the north, government needs to invest in agro-processing. Because by the time you sell these things in the markets, and then you load, move down and all, a lot is wasted on the way. But if you now adopt agro-processing, convert some of these things into powder form and all that, you'll be able to reduce the wastage. Then you say there's food in Nigeria, but eggs are scarce. Many poultries have closed down. One crate of eggs
very expensive. 3,000.
One crate of eggs is now 3,500.
3,006. There's a latest update.
3,006. Yes. Look at that. And eggs are a major source of nutrition for children. So what are we doing? We are not only keeping adults, Nigerian adults, in hunger. We are also endangering the future, our future generation. We are endangering the health, the nutrition of our children. Why are we so?
Why don't we just talk about how we can mitigate? Because some of the things we are talking about are long-term.
No, what I'm talking about basically is insecurity. Government must deal with it.
See, in the meantime, what do we do?
Good.
Are we to simply sit down, watch people take to the streets?
No.
People have a responsibility. When they say there's food in Nigeria, I agree. Yobe State, we are seeing Yobe government distribute tons of
food, yes,
for people. They are even taking it to tertiary institutions.
Yes.
They've done it better than anybody. They are going to tertiary. I saw the roster, how the government intends to move from school to school to give them food packs, including 10 kg bags of rice. Is that not a state?
It is.
Is it not? If they show us a video now, you see rice on the ground. Display. People have lined up to pick. Each person will pick this. Look at this. This is Yobe now, for God's sake. It's just one community that they went to. They just go to a community maybe with three trailer loads, and they will just empty it and come back. And it's not a case of, there is one register somewhere. They let you know they are coming to the village, and you see people are ready. They will line up in another fashion. They will pick. You see 10-year-olds pick their own bags of rice. We have videos, for God's sake. And pictures don't tell lies. So why are some people unable to do this? And they took money to do it. How do you take 2 billion to distribute palliative grains from the president, and you do not distribute a grain of rice? Do you really believe in God? I mean, these are the issues. We can talk about what needs to be done, but some of those things we can't achieve them immediately. If you are saying, let's have food processing companies. Anytime I go to Benue, for example, I'm alarmed that you don't have, they produce mangoes, they produce oranges. I don't think there's any place in Nigeria where they have as much oranges as Benue State. But Benue is where you see they sell oranges in buckets. It's so cheap. Why can't we have maybe a company that is into food processing, converting raw, to fruit juice, for example, like what we have with Chi and the rest of them. You can have such companies there. The raw material that you need is readily available. All of those to even evacuate, because we don't have good roads. A lot of what they produce get spoiled on the way. The rural communities, they can't bring food to the urban centers. It's tough for them. So when they say there's food in Nigeria, I agree. But what is available? Many people can't even afford it. Yeah. How can a carton of Indomie move from 1,200 or 1,400 during the COVID season? And they are telling me that that is 8,000 wow. yesterday.
Okay. That's not even
every time the naira slides a little bit, people just go. It's old stock that they have.
Old stock.
People who are bent on profiteering from the old stock. They just move the increased price from the old stock. So just because of the fact the naira slid just last night.
Yeah. So let me even ask you that
already
question
reflecting
now.
On your.
But the naira gained before it slid slightly. So what I'm asking, like okay, look at like cement, jumping within a few days from 5,008 jumping to 7,000. I now ask, I know some of these people. Where did you now suddenly get the new cement
nobody appears to even try to rein in business people who are just out to profiteer.
So that was one of the promises. Yes. Sorry, that was one of the promises of the APC during the presidential candidate.
Yeah, that's exactly
during the presidential campaign. To embark on it to set up commodity boards and embark on price control.
Yes.
It should work the talk.
Has to start. No,
it should work the talk.
It has to begin. There are many promises that he made that he has not begun to implement.
Yes.
Like even the issue of forest rangers, protect our forests.
Very badly needed.
He has to do it. I'm sure the president is watching, or he will watch at 11. That's why I'm sure of that. He has to bring those forest rangers, arm them. Because the people that they will engage are people going around with GPMG, AK-47, AK-49. Arm them so that they can protect our forest.
Right.
The president needs to do that. These commodity boards that the president promised, he has to do that because we are now seeing
excessive pricing.
Yes, I mean these people
profiteering.
Extreme profiteering. You cannot tell me that within 2 days that the naira slid, you are already selling. I mean, we are. You know, I remember the governor of Sokoto State then pleading that this is Ramadan season. Don't unnecessarily hike the price of sugar and even fruits.
You want people to stop.
It's a holy season. But you've chosen that holy season to try to make money by all means.
By all means.
We Nigerians too, we have problems. Yes. We can use our government the way we like. Some of us are worse than the people in government that we condemn. It's a fact.
Very true.
It's a fact.
Very true.
People are selling fake drugs now because you see that drugs are expensive. Yes. Now they are manufacturing a lot of fake drugs. There was a doctor I was discussing with this morning who said, look, my greatest fear now is the rate at which Nigerians are manufacturing fake drugs. Because you could end up administering fake injection.
Insulin.
To somebody who is ill, and that person will die in your hands. It's a real concern.
This is true, actually.
But government has to sit up and address the problem that we are facing. And people need to be punished for sabotaging the rest of us. They need to punish them. The time for playing with these people is over.
Well, let's hope that
even they told us that this year we should not agree for anybody.
Government should not agree for anybody.
Yes, well, let's hope for the best and I hope that the government and those responsible do what they have to do for the sake of the Nigerian people. Well, let's